Oh, hold on, everybody. Here we go. Hey, everybody. How's it going? Dan Tinder here on Drum Talk TV. Coming to you live if you're watching us live, or on the archive if you're not watching us live and you're seeing us on the archive. Who's us and we? It's myself and Brian Calhoun of Brian Calhoun Drums, the Brian Calhoun Drum Academy. Welcome, Brian. How are you?
Thank you, Dan, for having me on the show. I'm really excited to be here and grateful for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. It's great. I get to see you twice in one day. I saw you in a meeting earlier today, and we talked a little bit about what I'm going to show a clip of right now so that people can see what we're talking about in that description. Folks, check out some of the work that Brian does with this clip. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Awesome. Brian, let's start with this. You teach all sorts of drum lessons. You're sitting in your studio, you teach drum set in person, you teach it online. But what we saw there was more of your performance stuff that you were rehearsing for with some very special people that I found out today. As long as I've known you, I didn't know that you worked in the space of autism and learning differences and different abilities pretty much your whole life since you were a little boy. Let's start there and talk about how you got involved in that world.
Yeah, it's been a long journey. It's weird to think about it that I've been volunteering my time and been involved in special education and just the disability community since I was a little kid back in the 80s. Wow. which is kind of wild. And the reason that is my younger brother Chris has autism. So I've grown up in the field my entire life. And when I was a little kid, I just thought I was being a good older brother. I never thought anything of it. I would volunteer my time at his special education schools for when it was sports day or help out at the Special Olympics while my brother was growing up. I was just being a good older brother. Many years later, it was brought to my attention when I was looking for a new career path that I'd be a great fit to work in the field. And I ended up working at a nonprofit for over a decade where I really honed my craft there and learned a tremendous amount. And I got to work with hundreds of people, adults with disabilities, ranging from Down syndrome and autism and all different types of intellectual and developmental disabilities. And then that ultimately led me to starting my own company, the Calhoun Drum Academy, where I'm able to teach people of all ages, levels, and abilities, people from general education to special education, children, teens, adults, drum set, and marching percussion.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. How much did your parents sort of, like, I'm guessing you probably, especially in your younger years, grew up like that was just part of your normal life, the way you knew things. And I'm guessing your parents kind of opened that path and introduced you to, hey, here's how you can be a part of it, right?
They most certainly did. My mother and my father and my brother. Yeah. It was just normal to me. You know, to me, people are people, and right. everyone's unique in their own way. Every single person on earth, all of us, we have our strengths and our weaknesses. We have our talents that people know about, and we probably have some talents, all of us, that people don't even know about. But
absolutely,
and that's the greatest thing. There's only one you, and that it's an awesome thing.
What's the age difference between you and Chris?
I am 5.5 years older than
okay, so not an enormous gap, which is cool. Awesome. Let's show everybody another clip. That's so cool. Awesome. One more. I got to show one more.
We just wrapped up a really exciting video shoot here at our rehearsal space at St. Killian School. We've guys did an incredible job. We can't wait for you to see what we have in store. What time is it? What time is it? What time is it?
I love that. It's obvious you don't just cater to a community. You literally have built a community. You can see the camaraderie and the enthusiasm, and that's really really special stuff. Great work, man. That's awesome.
Thank you so much, Dan. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So let's go to this. Where in this journey did you start playing music? Was it from the beginning or was it along the way? When did you start? And are drums your only instrument or your main instrument?
Drums are definitely my main instrument. I might dabble a little bit on piano or singing, but I am really not that good. I'm an enthusiast for those.
I get that. Me too.
I always drum set by far is my main instrument, and certainly what I've been playing the longest and what I've been teaching the longest. Secondary to that is marching percussion. I would say snare drum, then tenors, then bass, then cymbals, and then a little bit when it comes to orchestral and classical percussion, and probably in that order, and a tiny bit of world percussion. I haven't really explored that too deep yet.
What type of world percussion instruments have you experimented with so far?
Just really congas, bongos, timbales. I think that journey for me more so started with studying Afro-Cuban drumming for drum set, and made me just really fall in love with the style. And I have to thank Joe Bergamini, who played a big part of teaching me that and introducing me to all of it. And then I decided to deep dive further. I'm like, I want to know more about the traditional instruments too. I was always the drum set guy and then the marching percussion guy, but I'm like, it's time. I got to learn about world percussion and be as well-rounded as I can be.
That's cool. One of the reasons I ask, not only so that the audience can learn more about you, but is I love world percussion, and a lot of the world percussion drums I play are mostly from North Africa, the Arabic and Israeli, those countries, the doumbek, the darbuka, and then the djembe from West Africa, and I just love all that music and that style of play. And my wife and I, we used to do an open mic here for 2.5 years. Now we don't host it anymore, but once in a while I can drag her out of the house and appear with me at an open mic in the little town next to us, and we do a thing where she'll sing like traditional old soul songs or jazz songs, and I'll always play them either on a darbuka or on a djembe, and we just do our own stripped down version of that. So it's a lot of fun. The world percussion is just it's in the name. It's a vast world of different kinds of music and percussion.
Oh, yeah.
You mentioned the Afro-Cuban stuff. I've always been such a huge admirer of what drum set players are able to do with all the different things along the spectrum of Latin music. And it's something I never learned. I kind of fake my way through it a little bit if I'm going to play to some really old Santana and stuff like that. But it's complicated stuff. There's a lot of limb independence and math, and maybe that's why I never really dove into it so deep, even though I love playing really, really complicated progressive rock. But the Latin music's a whole different thing on the drum set.
Oh, absolutely. It definitely is. And the biggest reason is Afro-Cuban music, traditional Afro-Cuban music was not designed for one drummer to play it. It was designed for multiple percussionists. Somebody playing claves, mambo bell, cha-cha bell, congas, bongos, timbales, all the rhythms, Mozambique, mambo, cha-cha, and many others were created with that in mind and written and performed that way for many years until drum set players decided to start challenging themselves. The only one that is unique to us as drum set players is the sango. That is literally the only rhythm written specifically for the drum set. But for me, my Afro-Cuban drumming journey, that was more recent. That was in the last like 6 years or so. I'm the constant learner. I'm constantly growing. And even though I've been playing drums for over 30 years, stylistically, you could be very experienced in one area, be able to emulate to the best of your ability all the greats and play that style of music pretty authentically, and be absolutely terrible at another style and feel like a beginner.
Totally.
And Afro-Cuban music, when I started playing that, I was like, whew, I feel like a beginner. I feel like I'm a little kid trying to play an eighth note rock groove, attempting to play a mambo. Whoa, what a difference. But I was welcoming the challenge and had a great teacher to guide me through that. And it's still guiding me through it to this day.
That's great. So as you started to learn those styles you just mentioned, Brian, did it make you look at the music you were already used to playing with a bit of a different lens?
Absolutely. I could just hear things and feel things that I wasn't able to before. I could play so much more percussively and independently in
Oh,
ways that have affected my rock drumming. It's
mhm.
affected my metal drumming. It's affected my jazz drumming. It's just had an impact on everything. It's affected my writing for my drum line. The,
Oh,
the way the way that I'm orchestrating instruments and writing cadences and marching parts, I'm emulating ideas that I learned from studying Afro-Cuban music and finding ways to implement it. Um, it's like learning another language and just putting it all together. It's great.
that's
Uh,
great.
so I
I
guess circling back, I realized I didn't answer your original question fully. Like, how did I start playing drums and when did I start?
that's
Uh,
okay.
yeah, so I started playing drums very early on when I was probably not even 1 years old.
Oh,
Just
wow.
but more my parents buying me that toy drum set. I'm always playing the toy drum set, and I had rhythm, or so they say, and
Mhm.
and I would be playing the little kits, and I fell in love with music very young. I remember watching MTV as a child, and it was probably early '80s, and
You're
ended
making
up
me feel old watching
yeah.
MTV as a little child. I was
Yeah,
way out of high school by then. Anyhow, go on.
yeah. So yeah, it was in my original house, so this had to be 1983, 1984,
Okay.
like thereabouts, and falling in love with Twisted Sister and Quiet Riot, like in my high chair, like
That's cool.
banging
All the
along.
big first MTV hit bands and stuff like
Right.
that. Yeah.
And that ultimately, years later, would lead to me joining the school band when I was 9 years old. And that began my formal studies. And
Mhm.
throughout my formative years, I was in the school concerts band, the orchestra, the jazz band, the marching band. That was my introduction to drum set. I would play drum set and jazz band. I
Cool.
did NYSMA, which was a big thing in New York, still is. And I would perform in NYSMA for drum set and um, snare drum. I was in all county, like they would bring in all the best musicians from the county and have them come together. I did that. And then I would go on to study at Five Towns College right here on Long Island in New York, where I would study music business and music education and music performance, studying drum set a little bit there. I had various private teachers throughout the years. And then as an adult, I would eventually go on to study with Don Famularo, who
I was gonna ask you about Dom, the late great Dom Famularo. I was gonna ask you, how long did you study with him? And if you could choose one of the biggest takeaways you got from the time you spent with Dom, what would that be?
So I studied with Dom on and off for over a decade, and
Wow.
he was an incredible mentor and unbelievable teacher who just changed my whole outlook on how I think about this instrument, how I play this instrument, how I look at the music industry, and especially the drum community.
Mm.
He introduced me to so many amazing people and welcomed me with open arms when he felt I was ready into his drum family. And so many of those people I am still friends and family with to this day. And we're
Cool.
all tight knit and we're all close and we all still share stories with one another. And that's the legacy of Don Famularo. And I am absolutely blessed to be in that close knit inner circle that he welcomed me in with open arms. And I'm forever grateful. I certainly wouldn't be the person I am, the teacher I am, um, or have the success that I've had without someone like him in my corner teaching me and guiding me through it. Lessons with Don Famularo were so much more than just drum lessons. They were life lessons.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
uh,
Yeah.
and now the biggest takeaway, and I say this all the time, and a lot of us that studied with him and we knew him for a long time, we all say the same thing. He is in every beat. Every time we pick up a pair of drumsticks, your very first lesson with Don Famularo, you were doing this. You would just go right here, throw the stick down, reset. That's it. You do it. That is forever until you have it perfect. And the idea, and he always would preach this, relaxed movement equals relaxed sound. Tense movement equals tense sound. And you need to learn to play relaxed and remove the tension. And that changed my playing forever. And that would, of course, eventually go much, much deeper, diving into all different concepts on the drum set and hand technique. But in its most simple format, it's just the way you feel the stick, the way you play with a relaxed feel in your technique, a relaxed mindset. It changes everything. It opens so many doors. And it was, I knew every lesson I was studying with him. I'm like, I feel like I just studied with Yoda. I'm like, I knew this is a master Jedi of drumming. There's no question about it. Everything he says comes with so much wisdom and so much experience and so much proof that it works, and so much respect. And I'm incredibly grateful that is a part of me now as a teacher. I'm able to share those lessons with my students.
That's awesome. How did you stay motivated working with Dom, considering his lack of enthusiasm and personality? That must have been a blast. I was fortunate to spend a lot of time with Dom. I had interviewed him a few times. He was the facilitator of 2 Billy Cobham events called The Art of the Rhythm Section, which Drum Talk TV, I produced a documentary of each of those. So I got to work for a whole week with the both of them and the people that they had attend these kind of boot camp type things in Mesa, Arizona. And it was the best. Every musical experience is educational in some way. But as far as an intentional educational experience, it was the best educational experience I ever had in music, was spending each of those 1 year apart, a week or 10 days with them and the people that participated. It was just amazing. It was great. It was just, I don't even have the words for it. Just go look it up on Drum Talk TV's website.
I'd love to. Obviously, I knew Dom, loved Dom, and Billy Cobham. What a legend! I love Billy Cobham too.
Yeah, just a lot of fun. So as you began to embrace the instrument and started to play, who were some of the other influences that wove their way immediately into your playing and were on your, I almost said turntable. I don't know if turntables were out by that time. They're back, which is cool. But on whatever medium of music you were playing it on, who were some of the artists that you were listening to and some of the other drummers that really got your attention, that you said, I want to learn that, I want to play like that guy or that lady? And tell us about that part of your journey, the biggest first influences, I guess.
Sure. So for my journey, it starts in the 80s, and my initial influences were all the big drummers of the 80s that I grew up loving as a kid. I was a huge fan of Steven Adler from Guns N' Roses, Alex Van Halen. What an incredible legend. I even loved Rick Allen of Def Leppard and Ricky Rocket of Poison, who I met recently, and I got to thank him. So that was awesome guy.
Yeah,
and all of that was the initial growth when I was very young. That would evolve to a little bit heavier music as I got a little older. I fell in love with Metallica, and Lars was a big influence. Nick Menza of Megadeth. Who also got to meet when I was a teenager, and he was,
that's great. We did a few things with Nick. One of the sweetest guys you could ever meet. He was such a nice guy, and he's so missed. Yeah, great drummer, great guy.
I was fortunate when I was a teenager. I met all of Megadeth. So I met Dave Mustaine, David Ellefson, Marty Friedman, and Nick Menza.
Wow.
All of them were really, really nice. I spent probably the most time talking to Nick and Dave Mustaine, but they were both great. And Dave Mustaine, I saw a video very, very recently, and he said something awesome for drummers. I'm like, this is a great video for drummers. And one of the things that Dave Mustaine from Megadeth recently said, he's like, drummers spend all the time in the world always thinking about the rhythm and thinking about the beat. But the most creative drummers out there are the ones that also think about the melody and they play to the melody. I was like, yes,
Yeah.
I love it. That's so good.
100%. My favorite example of that, and there's so many from different genres of music. Papa Joe Jones, Rufus, Speedy Jones. I mean, so many players in the jazz world. But when you listen to how John Bonham matched so many of Jimmy Page's rhythms, especially when they played live, and one of my favorite examples is the guitar solo and coming out of the guitar solo into the transition that's very rhythmic in The Song Remains the Same, the live version. I mean, John is playing on the drums what Jimmy's playing on the guitar. It's a perfect example of that. And there's a lot of musicians, whether they play drums, bass, or whatever, that don't even bother learning the lyrics, and they're missing out because that's part of the roadmap of the song, rather than counting, I'm going to do this for this many measures, this for this. To me, the player is too much in the mode of being a machine and worrying about counting versus understanding what you just said, that Dave said, and that's the melody and what's happening in the song, and just knowing that when XYZ happens, we're going into the bridge, not counting the amount of times we play the verse or whatever it is. But again, different things for everybody. That's just my personal take, because I've always learned to be able to hum every instrument of every song. I might not be able to play Keith Emerson's part. Well, I cannot play Keith Emerson's parts on the keyboards, but I could sing every note of any song that I've learned how to play. And I think that's so important to understand. To know what you're supposed to be doing, you got to know what are the other people doing that makes up the composition.
Absolutely. I preach that type of stuff to my students all the time, that it's important as drummers, we're the timekeepers and we understand the beat and the rhythm, and that's the foundation of who we are. But that just makes you a drummer. If you're going to play to a song, you need to have skills as a musician too. Just because you're a great drummer doesn't necessarily mean you're a great musician.
Great point.
There's plenty out there that are phenomenal drummers. They sound incredible on their own, but when they go to play a song, the choices are just like, that's it. You know, with what you could do, that's what you're choosing to play. And it's not that it always makes sense to play stuff that's extremely complex and advanced, and you're going to do all these polyrhythms and polymeters and metric modulations. Just the musical choices that you're making are clearly not at your ability. And I believe that is the difference, where a great musician can hear the music, understand what's right for the song, make all the choices based on what they're hearing, understanding the other instrumentation of what's going on. It's so important, but it opens up so many doors of creativity too, because if you're only thinking in ways, in forms of rudiments and stickings and music theory and notation, I'm a teacher. That stuff is great and certainly serves its purpose, but you're going to run into a wall. But when I'm playing a drum fill, I'm not thinking right, left, right, left, left, kick, snare. I want to, maybe when I'm practicing an exercise outside of playing music and I'm trying to learn something new, then yes, that's appropriate in that setting. But when it comes time to actually play a song, I'm following something in the song. I'm going to try to complement a melody or fill in space musically, and based on a motif, maybe I heard the bassist player, the keyboard player play, to complement the song and make it flow nicely. And then the ideas are endless, because all your ideas are musically based off of what you're hearing. And not only they're endless, but they're appropriate for the music that you're playing.
Yeah, that's also very, very well said. John Hannaford, watching us live on Facebook, agrees with me. Thank you. Absolutely true. Bonham really played to the music. He really did. And the way you just exemplified that whole model just now, Brian, literally speaks volumes. You know, it means a lot. When you are not teaching, do you still put on your favorite music to play to from the 80s? Is there music that's come out in the
Uh,
last 10 or 20 years that you
I I
admire?
li I listen to and play everything. Now, certain styles, I certainly play way better than others.
Yeah.
Like, I always say with jazz, I'm a jazz enthusiast. Some of my favorite drummers of all time are jazz drummers, and I love jazz. I love reading jazz charts. I love practicing jazz. I love studying jazz, but I certainly do not consider myself a jazz drummer, but there's a lot of jazz built into me. I think at my highest qualifications, I could probably prep some, or I should say, I've helped students go on to study jazz in college, but I'm no professor of jazz. That's where it stops for me in
Yeah.
that genre. But there's so many drummers. We were on that with and so many different styles where I listen to every kind of metal that there is. I would say metal and rock is definitely my foundation, and all the greats from both styles, whether it's 50s rock and roll, 60s hard rock, acid rock, progressive rock, punk rock, country rock, to 80s rock, 90s grunge and alternative. And same thing when it comes to metal, classic heavy metal, thrash metal, death metal, progressive metal, to a little bit of new metal, metalcore, extreme metal, all of it, to modern metal of today. And even with jazz, I'm kind of the same. I love
Yeah.
I love big band jazz in the eras of Buddy Rich and Gene Krupa, or two of my favorite drummers ever. To all the bebop guys that were playing with
Ooh.
Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie, to
Yeah.
the work with Miles Davis and John Coltrane, who I found out not that long ago, John Coltrane's childhood home is not that far from where I live, and it's a museum.
Oh, really?
And I can't believe I never visited it.
Wow.
Because some of my,
Check that out.
I love Philly Joe Jones and Elvin Jones and all those guys.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I got to go there. Um, so I could go on and on. I could probably do a whole interview about every genre of music, and why I love the drummers, and how they've influenced me in some way, shape, or form. I've even respected a lot of pop drummers more recently, and what they've been doing, and drummers like Brian Fraser Moore,
Oh,
who's played with so many incredible artists, and what he has brought to the table, or Jonathan Moffat and what he played for Michael Jackson and Madonna and so many other
yeah.
incredible artists. I'm like, those guys are absolutely amazing. But even this kit back here, heavily influenced by Mike Portnoy. If I had to pick one, Mike Portnoy is probably my all-time
Oh,
favorite
really?
drummer. And
Oh,
I'm grateful. I actually got to show Mike Portnoy this kit. we,
nice.
we were at a party for Tama Drum's 50th anniversary a couple years ago, and Mike and I were talking for a while, and he was showing me his studio. I'm like, I have to show you my drum set, heavily influenced by you. He's like, oh, that's awesome. And he noticed the bell set right there. He's like, I love the
Yeah.
bells. He's like, it's like Neil Peart. I'm like, yes. I think that's exactly what I was thinking, because I love Neil too. So
That's cool.
yeah.
That's great. Have you seen Mike or Neil play live?
I've never seen Neil play live, and I'm friends with so many people that knew Neil and were close with Neil. My teacher, Joe Bergamini, he wrote his book.
Right.
And I wish I got to see Neil play live. Mike, I've seen countless times.
Yeah.
From when I was a young teenager all the way up to a couple years ago.
That's great. Yeah, I was fortunate enough to see Neil live maybe 14 to 18 times, something like that, going all the way back to probably even when your parents were young. 1978 on the Hemispheres tour is the first time I saw them, and just, oh my gosh. I was turned on to them when 2112 came out in 1976, and got to see them a couple years later. And that was it. Just more than hooked ever since. He's still a huge, huge influence. I still love playing their music. My wife is a enormous jazz fan of many decades of jazz. She's got an incredible jazz collection. She's always busting my rear end saying, "Go into your studio and play some jazz for me." And I'm like, I'm not a jazz player, but I'll play to it, you know. But Rush is her favorite rock band, and she did get to see them as well. We went with our producer, my son Steve, to the Clockwork Angels tour, and she got to see them finally. So that was just a wonderful, amazing legacy of music. But thanks for sharing all those influences. I love that they're not, and it's okay, folks, if you have one or two genres that are your big influence or only influence in your focus. But I love, Brian, that your influences are really kind of all over the place and have grown over time, which is really great.
And they keep growing. You know, we were talking about like Latin music and Afro-Cuban music. And last year I got to see at a tribute to Dom Famularo in New York City, Bobby Sanabria play. And
wow.
Unbelievable player, so musical. And Dom had told me about him for years, and I'd seen videos, but videos, they don't do that man justice. He is so good. And at that same event, I got to meet Bobby afterwards, and watched Bernard Purdie played at that same event. To watch him play Home at Last, the Purdie Shuffle in person. He's in his 80s. Oh,
yeah,
it was just perfect. But an extra special moment for me, and this is a funny one. So there's been an ongoing joke for years because my last name is Calhoun and Calhoun Drum Academy. And there's also Will Calhoun,
right?
The drummer for Living Colour. And my father's name was William Calhoun.
Oh.
So, and Will Calhoun and I were, I'm a Sabian artist and I'm a Remo artist. I'm a Vic Firth artist. And he's with a lot of the same companies too. And I've been saying to artist relations for years, I'm like, I need to meet him. I need to meet him. So finally at that event, I met Will.
Oh, great.
And I'm like, Will, I have to tell you, I'm like, we are family. It's Calhoun, and both of us were joking around the whole time. We come from the same Calhoun family, the drum family.
I love that. Yeah, he's a tremendous player.
Yes,
a great guy. I finally had him on the show. I think it was in 2020. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, there's some great music those guys have put out for sure. Tell us about your setup there. Let's talk about that. Your teaching setup. You're coming to us right from where you teach online.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your setup. Maybe some people can pick up some tips.
Sure. So my setup here, this is Roland V drums, but kind of a hybrid. You can probably see it a little better. I'm going to use my camera switcher. Oh, look at that.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah. And I should also say I'm also with Audimute. So Audimute's an incredible soundproofing company. They design Drumeo Studios, they design Pearl headquarters, and many of the other top level drummers in the world. So all the sound panels that you see here are from Audimute and Mitch. Absolutely incredible stuff. They even were able to give me this, which is something I'm very proud of. If I could move this way. I got my custom.
Oh, neat. Look at this.
Custom Calhoun Drum Academy sound panel.
That's cool.
And these bricks, the other bricks are in Pearl headquarters in Nashville.
Wow.
So that the leftovers ended up in my studio, which is kind of
That's awesome.
But so this setup here, I have my electronic kit, Roland TD27, got my 3 rack toms. Now it's mostly VAD, which is V Drum's acoustic design, but I found that their bass drum and wasn't as good as a company Drum Tech that's in Germany. So my bass drum here is it just feels a lot more like a real bass drum when I'm playing this.
Yeah.
And one of the problems I was having teaching on an electronic kit so much was transferring over to acoustic kit. I needed acoustic size drums. I needed ones with real wood shells. Even the rubber cymbals had to be roughly around the size of real cymbals. And what a difference did that make? Allowing me to transfer from here to a regular acoustic kit. Because when you're playing on tiny little pads, that's great for an apartment. It's great for a smaller space that you need or very quiet space. But if you're also playing acoustic drums like I do, you need the full sizes. It makes such a difference. But with teaching, this is considered my front wide cam, where I'm typically talking and I could talk and I could play at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have my overhead cam, which I was showing before.
Right.
Then I could switch over to a side camera over here. Sometimes I'll do hand techniques so someone could see me, or I'm
Cool.
playing right there. If I'm going just with hand technique and I want to then be able to see my hands a little more, I'm strictly talking and I don't want to show my drum set. I'm here.
Yeah. Close
And
up.
then one of the coolest features is this. I could do
Oh, nice. Yeah.
picture in picture. This is also great for recording content too, because on my camera switcher, I can connect an external hard drive and just record all of this, and it makes editing so much easier because I have 3 camera angles right away. But it's also great for teaching too, because here you can still see me speaking, but then you get the overhead shot, you get the foot cam shot.
Will it record a mix file and the individual camera file separately?
It will. However, I've discovered that the audio file is nowhere near as good as if I record the audio file on a real DAW, like Logic or Pro Tools.
Yeah.
So I use Logic. So typically I'll route my audio through Logic and I'll record it separately because it just comes out so much better.
Yeah.
And then I'm even able to do like that. If I just want a foot cam shot, I can put that into any shot that I want. And it's proven to be extremely helpful for students too, because I'm able to provide this interactive educational experience through sharing various educational materials through screen sharing on Zoom, but then being able to route my audio through an interface, have the camera switcher with multiple camera angles. I'm using right now a lavalier condenser mic. So everything is delivered on a pro level. And I've had success teaching students locally on Long Island, both drum set and marching percussion using this setup. And then throughout the US and even internationally. I am blessed to be able to do this full time. This is all I do is I teach drums, private drum lessons to students of all ages, levels, and abilities throughout the US and internationally. And then I run the Calhoun Drum Academy's All Abilities Drum Line. And I guess I've become a content creator too. I just hit over 100 million views on my YouTube channel.
Wow.
Yeah.
100 million views.
Yeah, and that's just on YouTube, which is
That's
awesome.
great.
And yeah, I guess I'm closing in probably around like 250,000 followers between all my different social platforms. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. There's the Brian Calhoun pages or Brian Calhoun Drums pages, which I include the Calhoun Drum Academy in that. And but it's also more so from a teacher's perspective because I'm putting up drum lessons, drum performances, some vlogging and stuff behind the scenes, and it's highlighting more me as a professional drummer and educator. And then there's the Calhoun Drum Academy pages where the focus is more so on my students and it's highlighting them, and I put a little less of myself on those pages.
That's so cool. And congratulations on all those views. And folks, almost all those channels, I think except for TikTok, are listed in the description of this video. But is it the same?
It's the same thing at Brian Calhoun Drums.
Okay, cool. So the kit behind you, is that mic'd up?
That is not, but it's going to be soon. So
cool.
Very, very recently is when Mitch had sent me all these panels, and blessed to have the support of AudioMute as one of the companies I proudly endorse. But that was the first, well, I'd say the next step. Originally, this studio was an unfinished concrete dungeon. I think the first time you and I met, it was still an unfinished concrete dungeon.
Yeah.
And when I realized I'm doing this full time now, I ended up hiring a contractor, and I got carpenters and plumbers and electricians and everyone in here to finish my basement, and ended up making it sound blocking. So
That's
thicker
awesome.
sheetrock and the right kind of insulation and what have you in the build, but I never put sound absorption.
Yeah.
A lot of people mistake soundproofing. They just think you put some foam panels on the wall and that's it.
Right.
But all that does is kind of absorb sound. Luckily, AudioMute's product is way better than like the foam panels. They're professional grade, so it does a great job absorbing sound. But then there's also sound blocking, which helps stop the transfer of sound to upstairs where my family lives. Because my teaching and recording studio is in the basement of my home. But then it also prevents their sound from coming down at me.
Right.
So when I'm recording or I'm teaching, really the only thing I hear these days is impact noise.
Mhm.
And that would be my little 5-year-old son running across the floor upstairs. And unfortunately, the only way to stop that would be to rip up the floor and redo the floor.
Right. And that's crazy.
That's great. But the day I redo the tiles for whatever reason in my lifetime, then I'll do it. but until I have to do it as a kitchen project or a living room project, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But this kit isn't mic'd up yet. I'm planning on micing it up.
Cool.
Jim Toscano, an incredibly talented drummer, but also kind of the guru on tech. Dom Famularo introduced me to him years ago, and he's the one that taught me how to connect my interface, how to use a camera switcher. So those pandemic days on Zoom, he's really the person that taught me the tech side of what I needed to do to do this at a high level. And Jim set up Dom's studio. He set up Dave Weckel's studio, David Garibaldi's studio, Stanton Moore's studio. And I'm blessed that I'm friends with Jim now, and he helped me set up mine.
It's great.
And it's been a game changer. It really has.
Yeah, that's awesome. So do you get on that other big kit behind you and just play to your favorite music, or just?
I do, and I'm hoping to record on there. So
cool.
Let me.
I'd love to see that sometime. Yeah.
So I'm gonna switch. I'm not gonna be able to sit over there at the moment, but one of my cameras, this one, I have on a microphone stand, so I can just do this. What?
Ooh, neat.
Oh, and then I could go right over to there, so you can get a little bit of a better view on that kit, the Calhoun Monster, as I call it.
That's awesome. It's beautiful. I love big progressive kits. I've just
and I also, if I go this way, you can see the congas in back too.
Yeah.
And my tamales. As I go up, I have a TV mounted up there as well.
Oh,
so I'm going to be able to eventually record and teach back there. And I could switch depending on the time of the day and what I'm doing. And there's pros and cons to using acoustic drums versus electronic drums. You can't really see it. I actually have another kit in here too, but it's my jazz kit. So much, much, much smaller, a completely different selection of heads and cymbals.
Right.
But in that one, I just have a Yamaha EAD10 hooked up to. So sometimes you might see some content on my social media on that drum set. But this one, I'm going to have to get the big Focusrite 18i20 audio interface and an Octapraise, million microphones. I know it's going to take me a while. Hopefully I can work
never move.
No, this doesn't go anywhere. Yeah, I have a live kit that's always broken down in cases and gig bags, and that's the one I use from when I perform. All my studio kits, they don't move unless I need like a cymbal.
Right.
For something specific. But even then, my live kit, it's got its own set of cymbals, its own set of hardware. It's always broken down and ready to go, which makes, I don't gig anywhere near as much as I used to, but I don't know how I did it when I was younger, when I would break down my kit all the time, bring out the whole thing, bring it back in.
Same here. I hate when I see people post and say, this is the basement kit, and it's a kit like that, or like the one I have like that. And this is the live kit, and it's a 4-piece. No, when I was tearing up the Sunset Strip and playing all over LA, I took everything, 17-piece kit with 2 timpani drums, 14 cymbals. Okay, I had someone that helped me, but I never played without all my stuff. You know, if I wrote a piece on an 88-key piano, it doesn't mean I'm on all 88 keys the whole song. But if I need that other octave, I've got it. I would never have thought of taking a smaller piano or a smaller. Same thing with the drum set. The music I played, those were the sounds I used, and I took everything. Nowadays, I don't know if it's just a world of weenies and people don't want to schlep their big kit or something. But if I were in a band that still played that music, I probably wouldn't break that kit down and bring it up and down the stairs from my basement studio, but I'd probably have that kit as a live, like you say, broken down kit. I have 2, one 4-piece, one 5-piece that are always broken down, and another 4-piece that's set up in the studio across from my big obnoxious kit. But I never understood why people make such a big deal about that. If that's their instrument,
It depends on the style of music and the genre you're playing.
Yeah.
Obviously, for progressive music, yeah,
Yeah.
it's known for the monster kid. It's
Yeah.
almost
Yeah.
it's a rite of passage.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But that,
Now, if I honestly, if but I have to, as I'm getting older, if I could get away with one tom, one floor tom, two cymbals, and a bass drum, I'll do it. I'll make it work. I'll be
yeah.
like Portnoy playing on the Hello
Hello
Kitty
Kitty
kit.
kit. Yeah, that's hilarious. I sent one of our daughters. I was at the market today. I got to mention this. You know what? I'll show it on my phone. I could not believe this. I saw, and she's a huge Hello Kitty fan, and she's not a little girl. She's a grandma.
Yeah.
We're great grandparents now. But I saw this. Are you kidding me? Hello Kitty spam? What? Like, what's the connection? Does she like spam? Like, I don't know. And our daughter Sudi couldn't answer it. She wasn't sure, but
I'm not sure if anybody likes spam.
she says, yeah, she's too corporate now. So, hey, for my last question, second, I have another question before the last question. What advice do you have for parents of people with, for lack of other terms, special needs, who may have Down syndrome or autism, be on the spectrum, who want to put them in music, or those people want to go into music, but their parents are unsure? It gives some words of wisdom as to why it is so important and why it's okay, and why you're one example of a great outlet of how they can do that. Talk about that a little bit, because I'm sure, just like, with girls, we're living in 2026, and females, young ladies, girls, sometimes often I think face resistance from parents when they say, I want to play drums. No, you should play flute or clarinet. No, I want to play drums, and I want to play softball or tackle. There's still that stigma. So the same thing I know exists in the special needs world. How would you like to address that?
What I truly believe, and I say this not only as a teacher who's been teaching that community for nearly 20 years now, but also of a parent of two young children. My children don't have any disabilities, but I understand life as a parent. Your job really is, as a parent especially, if your kid is gravitating towards music and they love music, and it's clearly becoming a part of them, let them explore just like you would any other child.
Yeah.
And there could be an opportunity out there for them. And if it's drums, you might need to advocate a bit, but you also have to keep in mind, and I say this, drums is a loud instrument. It might not be for everybody, and some of the other instruments are kind of loud too, but I think ours might be the loudest. But some people, quiet music therapy might be a better choice, because drums and loud music is overstimulating. And you'll know that in your home. But sometimes drums and loud music, surprisingly, can be calming for some.
The physicality of it and the endorphins from that.
Right. It can be an outlet. It can be an outlet to be able to hone everything in and control everything, and allow someone to shine in an area that they never knew was possible before. I know with many of my students, it really comes down to their families supporting their creative interests, and seeing that they had a passion for music, and letting them do that, and supporting their journey. And I'm happy to be the choice that many of them have chosen to study with. And to teachers out there, it's all about adapting your knowledge. Every teacher for every subject, not just drums, but especially when you're teaching private lessons, the ultimate goal is for the student to be able to retain the information that you're teaching. If you're so stuck on just, this is the way I teach things, this is the only method, this is the only way, and that's it, well, good luck, because that's only going to work for a small amount of people. It's your responsibility as a teacher, if you really want to be able to share your gifts with others, you need to be able to adapt your knowledge, find different ways to teach, not only for students with disabilities, for any student. Everybody learns a little bit different. So some might be great readers, some might be great listeners, and auditory is the way to go. Some need to watch you do it. Some students, you kind of need a combination of all that. Even with drum books, they're not for everybody. And even one drum book is not for everyone. It's your responsibility as a teacher to know the resources and the libraries of material that are out there. Excite them, encourage them, introduce them to different styles of music, introduce them to different drummers. That's what I've done for my students for years. I've excited them. I help their journey for drums to excite them and to love this instrument the same way that I do, the same way that so many incredible drummers that I've studied with and I've had the fortunate luck of meeting throughout my life, and all my heroes. All of us have one thing in common. We love this instrument. I know you love this instrument too, Dan.
Yeah.
It's why we're having this conversation today. It's about the love for that instrument. So if you notice that your child has a love for music, let them explore. And if the music teacher is giving them a hard time, like they can't do this and they can't do that, if it's drums, if you're watching this right now, reach out to me. I have helped people that are in other states and other parts of the world advocate for them to let their child participate. Now, I'll give an assessment of my own to be like, hey, you were right. This is absolutely the way to go, and they're not being given the opportunity that they should have. Or there's been times where I said, listen, it really might be a little too much, a little too overstimulating, but there are other options. This is what they are.
Right. Absolutely. Such great wisdom and information. Thanks for sharing that. One of the things I thought of as soon as you said how important it is for us to adapt our teaching styles to the needs of the student is I had such a great fortune to meet and become really close friends with the late, great Don George in the first year of Drum Talk TV in 2013. Don George, for those who don't know, was Neil Peart's first drum teacher. And Don had first of all, he was such a down-to-earth guy. He, to me, was like a long-lost cool uncle. All my uncles were cool, but Don was like that, And he had this pattern interrupt. Whenever a student was stuck on something, he'd say, "Would you like a cookie?" And it was like, huh? I was just trying to, but would you like a cookie? And he'd pull out a bowl of chocolate chip cookies, and they would have a cookie, and they would just talk about it a little bit. And it just created this mindset reset, got rid of the frustration he saw the student was having, and then almost like a reboot, if you will. So when my wife and I first met him in Canada, we did a special with him in front of a live audience and everything. We brought him a big box of chocolate chip cookies.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, but it's such an intuitive, smart approach, and everyone has their own way of dealing with a student that might get overly frustrated or something. And I think one of the best approaches, just like teaching anything, whether it's music, math, geography, sports, whatever, is to just sort of like clean the slate a little bit with something like that, a pattern interrupt, and it removes the frustration. Okay, let's take a fresh approach,
Absolutely.
Now try to play YYZ.
Yes. I always say somebody has to be the first. Somebody has to be the first to break the mold, to create something new, to figure out a different way to teach somebody and help them retain information that they didn't even think was possible before. But you have to explore, and you have to try all these different things and be creative. Think outside the box. Just because it worked for you doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for your students.
Right. 100%. Yeah. Great. Okay. Now the last very important question.
Sure.
When you're not teaching or doing anything having to do with music, this is the Brian Calhoun fun fact segment. What do you like to do outside of music? I know you got a 5-year-old and all, but what do you like to do? What fills your time?
Well, definitely spending time with my children. My daughter is 8. My daughter Aria, 8 years old, and my son Braden is 5. You can actually see them in some of the Calhoun Drum Academy videos. They performed. We did a major performance at Farmingdale High School last marching band season with a 300-member marching band, and the whole Calhoun Drum Academy was there to perform for a big event. And my daughter joined the drum line. She played snare, and at the time, my 4-year-old son, his first performance in his entire life in front of like 4,000 people, just got up there and played too, and learned the whole show. I was like, yes. But spending time with my kids, number one. I'm a family man, and I'm definitely a homebody. I like to travel, as well. Just recently went to Disney World for the first time with the family,
Nice.
which is really nice. I've been happily married now for over a decade, and been with my wife for 17 years. So spending time with
Wow.
my
Give
wife.
that woman a medal.
Yes, definitely having to deal with me and all my my musical uh, journey is a lot. I know I'm a lot,
It's
but
great
she,
though. The
she she
support
supports
means
me.
everything, right?
Yes, I'm also a big fan of WWE.
Oh, really?
I like watching professional wrestling. But even my downtime, honestly, I'm so obsessed with music that I'm practicing drums and watching drum videos even after I'm done teaching. And
Oh, nice.
sometimes it's 12. I'll teach 12 hours and I'll go upstairs and I'll start studying and watching something for myself. And my wife will go, "You just finished teaching 12 hours worth of students and you're watching drum videos?"
That's great. I
I'm
love
like,
that.
yeah. I'm
You're
like,
always a learner, right?
I'm the constant learner. I always want to get better, and I enjoy watching other drummers and performances and learning everything I can constantly. It's just always going 24/7. I could be washing the dishes or mowing the lawn, and I'm listening to music, and I'm trying to learn something new.
That's
Always.
great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks so much for sharing all your wisdom and your story and all the possibilities that everyone has the opportunity for. And folks, all of Brian's info is in the description of the post. If you came in halfway through or something, rewind, watch from the beginning, see what he does. And he shows off his beautiful, amazing setup there that Joe Toscano and some other people had influence on, which is great. And thanks for taking time to share all that, Brian. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dan. And thank you for having me. It's an honor to be on Drum Talk TV.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. And thank you, everybody, for following what we do here on Drum Talk TV. We have some amazing new stuff happening. We have some really great announcements. So sign up for our newsletter. It's easy to find. Just go to our Facebook page. There's a sign up button, or go to drumtalktv.com, or go to drumtalktvbrilliance.com, our membership site. You can sign up for free to get on our email list. And we have a really, I don't even have the words to express the enormity of a bucket list interview for me of someone that we're going to have on September 3rd. In fact, it's so big that my wife's birthday is the next day, and we usually travel for her birthday. And I said, listen, I don't know where we're going to be, but I'm going to stop during this time to this time to interview blank. So sign up, folks. We haven't made the announcement yet. We'll probably make it in the next day or two. But I appreciate everybody following what we do so you can learn from people's great experiences, like Brian, everyone from Brian to Nico McBrain to Simon Wright to just you name the style of music, and we've had them on and plan on having a lot more. So thanks, everybody. We really, really appreciate it. Brian, hang on the line with me after we say goodbye to the audience. Thanks for the other comments. We've got, here's a nice one to show this real quick. How many would people marching in DCI? Yeah, at all ages. Here's a big hello from Matthew Hayden. We got some other people chiming in from different channels. But we really appreciate it, folks. And we will see you all soon. Thanks.